Sailors and pirates and scalawags we, in the dark Caribbean, on a roiling sea. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. There's 5 in the crew, what are we to do? We've been blinded by a bilge rat, crunched by a croc, drowned in the droppings of a seagull flock, stung by the jellyfish hung from a rail, battered by a barnacled humpback whale, stabbed in the groin with a rusty pitchfork, keel-hauled under a Spanish man-o'-war. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. There's only 4 left on this bloody poop deck. We've been obliterated by an obscure oyster cult, mashed by a marrow mortal, quite an insult, electrocuted by an eldritch eel, an ancient elder our souls did steal, livers all black from years of rum. I just found out where scurvy comes from. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. We're down to 3 on this forsaken sea. We've been bitten on the back by a banded sea crate, drawn and quartered by an angry sea wraith, shot in the gut with a cannonball, carried off whole by a carrion crow. Our lungs all filled with wet consumption, shocked by a shoggoth. Now isn't that something? Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. It's just us 2, we are so doomed. We've been gnawed on by a necro swine, pickled in a barrel of bile and brine, garroted by a gorilla crab, smashed so flat by a coral slab, burning under the sun in a gibbet cage, feeling the wrath of a mermaid's rage. Our health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. Now it's just me, it's time to flee. But I've been chomped in half by a fossil shark, chained in the well of eternal dark, stoned to death by a mad Jamaican, got heart disease from too much bacon, swung from a noose which did not slacken, gored by the beak of a love-crazed kraken. My health is low and the danger's high. There's so many ways to die. Well, you could complain that life's not fair, but the angry sea, it just don't care. My health is gone and the end is nigh. In the dark Caribbean, so many ways to die. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I was but a wee boy, my father said to me, "Son, for generations we've sailed upon the sea, but danger's out there lurking to send you to the grave. So learn your ABCs, lad, perhaps your life you'll save. Now sea monsters they come in many shapes and sizes. Let's review them all now so there be no surprises. A is for albatross, hung around your neck. B is for bilge rat on a briny shipwreck. C is for Charybdis hiding under a rock. D is for deep ones in the great abyss they stalk. E's for ancient elder who'll try to steal your soul. F is for fossil shark who'll try to eat you whole. G is for giant squid with tentacles of steel. H is for hydra with many heads that kill. Some monsters be above ya, some monsters be below, but the monsters that'll get ya are the monsters you should know. I is for infernal pelican who's got a massive beak. J is for jellyfish whose sting will make you weak. K is for
us.
Oh, right.
Arty-ar-ar-ar.
There we go. All right. We had some microphone issues before during the painting. Here we just have the desk mic, so hopefully that'll be fine. I'm Matthew Rose. How you guys doing? We painted Surbatone earlier today. Right now we're going to be working on some storyboards from Escape from Crab Island. If you're not familiar with Escape from Crab Island, it's a project I've been working on last couple of weeks. Let's fix this here, see if I can get that a little bit closer. Alright, that's a little bit closer there. It's the same camera on a tripod as I was using in the other room, so I just kind of resetting it there. Alright, let's go back to this here. There we go. Okay, so round two. Yes, round two. Okay, there's that. And it always tells me I need to make the lights brighter. There we go. Okay, so the idea for the Escape from Crab Island is that I'm going to be using the YouTube Shorts, kind of like a choose your own adventure, kind of like Dragon's Lair with Dirk the Daring back from the 80s. And so we've done 10 of these so far. And basically I take the storyboards, I scan them in, take a picture on my phone, basically. Cut the panels up, create an animatic, which is dialogue, a little bit of sound effects and some music, kind of pan the pictures back and forth. And then I've put them all on a playlist, and right now it's private while we kind of go through the process, but just to kind of see how the game will work. And then eventually, if it seems like this concept works, then I'll be doing it in stop motion. And they're basically 45-second to 1 minute long episodes. So it stars Lieutenant Lee McQueen, and we'll get a picture of Mr. McQueen here. Where's a picture of Mr. McQueen? There's that. And there's Mr. McQueen. All right, so there's a picture of Mr. McQueen, Mr. Lieutenant Lee McQueen. And he starts at the bottom of a well, and we think a pirate might have put him in there. Then I'm gonna turn this a little bit there. There you go, that's better. Then he has the option at the bottom of the well to either climb the rope, inspect a block from the wall, or try to pick up a gem. If he tries to climb the rope, he ends up dying. And this is all inspired by Pirate Borg from Luke and Tyler Stratton, aka Limithron. And if you haven't seen my So Many Ways to Die music video, please check that out, because those ideas here, there's so many ways for Lieutenant McQueen to die. He could try to pick up this gem. In actuality, it's the back of a scorpion. He ends up dying, goes back to 2. Or if he inspects the block, then he discovers that there is a hidden alcove behind the wall. Okay, or a hallway that leads to an alcove. Then inside the alcove, he can climb a ladder, but it turns out that the ladder is missing some rungs, and he falls and hurts his head and dies. Brings him back here. Or he could take a key from this skeleton sailor's neck, and once he takes the key, that alerts this zombie pig, the necro pig. And in this instance, the viewer rolls a die, and if they roll a 1 to 3, then they get killed by the pig, so they watch that episode. If they roll a 4 to 6, they defeat the pig, and then they climb out of the alcove to the top of the hole. So this is what we're going to be working on tonight, is episode 11. And then if we have some time, which we should, it doesn't take too long to draw these, we can work on episode 12, which is where he decides. So in episode 11, he can either go into the jungle or he can cross this janky bridge, which is inspired by Bridge over River Kwai. If you're not familiar with that movie, it's during World War II. I think it was in Burma. And they are some prisoners of war that are forced to build a bridge. So it's kind of my tribute to that movie, which I grew up, which was very inspirational to me when I grew up. The quicksand, that was inspired by the video game Pitfall on the Atari 2600 console, because we played that when we were kids as well. So I'm just, along with Pirate Borg, I'm just kind of putting in some of my childhood inspirations that are kind of piratey. So we'll start working on episode 11. All right, so we'll pull out a piece of paper. And I do have the script up here. And sometimes, the process is, to develop the animatics, but also in the process of doing this, it kind of helps massage and tweak the story a little bit. And let's see here. Okay, let's put that back on. There we go. All right, so this is, come over here real quick. This is episode 11, and that's the first storyboard for that. Got my favorite pencil, which is a 2B. Got my favorite eraser, which is the Pentel High Polymer, and we are ready to go. Got some colored pencils from King Supers. I ended up buying like the 64 or whatever set it was, but it was just too much. I couldn't handle all those colors. All right, so here's our piece of paper right there. There we go. Okay, now let's see what we got here. So we're going to start with McQueen stands at the top of the lava hole. So we'll do that as a medium shot. And then we'll cut to probably a close-up. This is another beautiful day in the dark Caribbean. And then we'll probably keep on the tight shot of him where he looks to the right. And then we will see what he sees, okay? So turn the light up just a little bit here. See if that helps a little bit. There it goes. Yeah, there's some shadows. Oh, actually, it's the shadow of the microphone. Okay, so McQueen stands at the top of it in the lava hole. So kind of sketch out. And again, these can be crude. I don't know, what is my drawing skill? A scale of 1 to 10. I probably a 5. Okay. The point of the, how big this hole is. Point of the animatic is just kind of prove the concept. If I needed an amazing artist, I could get like Justin Davis to help. So he actually did, let's see here, he did a, it's right here. He did a concept for me. Let's see, make it bigger. So that's the first concept that he did. So I'll be making a table, a set for this first jungle, and I'll end up reusing it as well, probably in the summertime. I've got some other projects I need to finish. All right, so there is Mr. McQueen. He's standing right there. He's glad to be out of his hole. Okay, I'll draw some trees or something in the background. Okay. He's got his little Okay, so here he is standing at the top. There's a rough drawing there. Again, it doesn't have to be a great drawing. We're just kind of showing general idea of the story. I mean, the animatic is animated storyboard, so. Okay, there he is. He's standing. Maybe there's a little bush here and that negative space. Maybe a little bush here and that negative space. Okay. And this, I probably should show the top of the ladder. Okay, there's the top of the ladder. Okay, so there's our first cell there. And isn't it fascinating? Okay, so he says, another beautiful day in the dark Caribbean, and then he looks to his right. Okay, so which is, I was going to draw the arrow first. You know, be truthful here. One of my favorite things in doing this is drawing arrows. I don't know why I like arrows so much. I like storyboards. Okay. Here we go. There's his nose. And there's his mouth. It's got some dialogue here. Another beautiful ellipses. Okay. And he's got his hat here. Tri-corner hat. Okay. He's got his wig. He's got his blonde eyebrows. And he's got some like trees in the back here. He's got some ears. Okay. He's got like his collar. Okay, then he says, a path leads into a dense tropical forest. A screeching sound can be heard from that direction. Screech. Okay. Okay, so we'll draw this kind of path here. And it's going to be kind of covered by some leaves. Okay, and there'll be some bushes. I got a Cricut Joy a couple weeks ago so I can print out or cut out paper palm branches so I can be making these trees. I saw, I don't know, it's been a couple of years now. I was looking for them again, but there's an amazing diorama artist that I saw on YouTube, and he was made this amazing jungle. And he was using his Cricut machine to make palm branches and stuff. I've tried to 3D print palm branches and stuff. It was a bit of a disaster. So when I saw this cutting of paper, I was like, you know what? That's the direction I needed. That's the direction I need to go to. All right. That looks like a jungle with a path. Okay. Now it says he looks to the left. Oh, actually, okay, he says, oh my, what horrible screeching, he looks to his left. Okay, so we'll just use that same, shot. Just a close-up of him talking. We'll make the arrow go the other way. Yeah, that's a heck of an arrow. Okay. Okay. Here's his Dry corner. Okay. He said, well, he looks to his left, so he doesn't really say anything here. Okay. My friend Jocelyn, she looked at the animatics and she says, I like that art. And I'm like, that's not, she's an art teacher too. She teaches elementary school kids. And I was like, yeah, that art, no. I'm far from an artist. I have the ability to relay an idea through these rough, crude drawings, but I am not an artist. Okay. I'm a craftsman. So he looks that way. A decrepit bamboo bridge leads off to the west. Biscuits, that bridge appears to be in quite disrepair. So I'm now usually when I'm doing stop motion, I almost all the time, if there's dialogue, I will I will do the dialogue when the character is talking, but in this case, I'm going to do the dialogue over the bridge, so to speak, because we just saw him. We don't need to cut back to him talking. So we'll say biscuits. That bridge. Okay. Here we go. And how do I envision this bridge? So it's inspired by the bridge over River Kwai. It's just janky though. So it'll be maybe it'll be rope bridge. And maybe there'll be some like low. And there'll be a sign, but it'll be off screen here. And there'll be some kind of classic pieces of planks there. This is one rough looking bridge. Okay. Yeah, we're just trying to get the idea of this. And there'll be a little volcano in the back. Maybe it definitely has to tail off here. It's gonna be some not crocs, but alligators. In this mucky pit below here. Get my pitfall inspiration here. Okay, probably should droop a bit, but no, well. Okay, that's a bridge. All right, so he says, biscuits, that bridge appears to be in quite disrepair. Okay, then he stands with his hands on his hips. So we're basically back to this shot here. Could do like a cowboy shot, 3/4 shot. A little bit closer. Okay. trees behind him. Okay. And he says, what to do? Dive into the jungle or head across that dreadful bridge? So I think we'll just go back to, I mean, he could talk at a, he can talk in medium shot, doesn't have to talk up close. All right, so he says, what to do? Ellipses. Okay, then there's 2 cards here. So it says to enter the jungle. And Jesslyn said that I should do voiceover, so I'm going to start adding voiceover for that. Okay, so we got card to enter the jungle. Go to episode 12. To enter, no, to cross fix this here. All right, to cross the bridge, go to, can't talk and write at the same time, episode 13. All right, so this will be a shorter episode. Squeezed it all into one panel. All right, now, if you haven't seen us do this before, this is the fun part. This is the coloring part. Okay. All right, get to all my coloring pencils. This is the part where I get to act like a 3rd grader. Not that I don't always act like a 3rd grader. Okay, so he's got a blue coat. So we'll sketch in. Actually, I think that's purple. Is it purple? It's purple. All right, there's blue. Okay, he's got a blue coat. And you know what? I did black and white animatic the first episode, and I was like, this needs some color. People can just watch me color this and listen to the story, I guess. So there we go. And then he looks this way. And his coat is blue. For some reason, I always make the arrows blue. All right, so there's a jungle, there's a bridge, here's the rest of his coat. So episode 11 will be a little bit on the shorter side. Okay, and then there's black for his tricorn hat. Okay. There's that. And the bridge can be brown. There's brown, right? Okay. And once we're done with this, we'll head over to episode 12. Okay, and of course, the alligator is green. There he is. This is kind of mucky. That's kind of green in there. There's a little tree. Okay. This hole's kind of dark. There's that. Watch me color a bridge. Okay, there's that. And the bridge. Oh, we need a classic bird in the background. Burp, burp. There he is. Okay. go. There's some green there, some green there. He's outside in the dark Caribbean. Yeah, if you haven't checked out Pirate Borg, I highly recommend it. It is inspired. I also like Mork Borg. I like both of those. I like D&D stuff, but for some reason, both Mork Borg and Pirate Borg, it's just a little bit more fun. They don't take themselves too seriously. I think D&D sometimes takes itself a little too serious, and I'm kind of a clown guy. I do street comedy at the Renaissance Festival the last, definitely, it's been almost 10 years. I've been at the festival for 17 years, but I've done comedy for at least 10 years. It's fun. Have a good time interacting with people. Okay. And that's the festival here in Colorado, down in Larkspur. Starts middle of June. All right, I think we have colored this one up. Okay, so that is episode 11, and we'll move on to episode 12 here. There we go. So he stands at the top of the lava hole. Another beautiful day in the dark Caribbean. He looks to his right. A path leads into a dense tropical forest. A screeching sound can be heard from the direction. Oh my, what a horrible screech. This is what he's supposed to hear. Okay, so good thing with that. All right, so he says, oh my. Okay, then he turns his head and he looks to the left. A decrepit bamboo bridge leads off to the west. Biscuits, that bridge appears to be in quite disrepair. McQueen stands with his hands on his hips. What to do? Dive into the jungle? Or head across that dreadful bridge? Okay, to enter the jungle, go to episode 12. To cross the bridge, go to 13. Okay, so that one's done. That one's ready to take a picture and go into preview and scan all those. I.e., that's just what I call scanning. Okay, what do I do with my book? Okay, so here we got the book. So here we are. So we finished 11 right there. And then now we're going to do episode 12, the one in which he encounters quicksand. Okay. Quicksand as inspired by Pitfall, the Atari 2600 game. Okay. Which I don't know if there was really Pitfall, but he had to take a vine and go over alligators and stuff. There's no alligators in this particular episode, but okay, so episode 12A. All right, so let's come over here and we go to episode 12, The Jungle Path. Okay, make that a little bit bigger so we can see it. There we go. Okay. McQueen brushes aside 2 palm leaves as he walks along a jungle path. Okay. So, kind of. I envision this kind of as a medium shot. So he just kind of maybe has his hands up. And he's kind of brushing these palm branches aside. Okay. Looks like he's all ready for Palm Sunday here. Okay, there's that. Okay. If I was going to redo that, I'd probably bring that up a little bit, but that's fine. Okay. And Okay. There's just all kinds of jungly stuff here. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the episode card here, so I knew I forgot something. The episode title card. Okay. Okay. Escape from Crab Island. Episode 11. Okay. Alright, so now let's do this one over here. And again, I'll end up doing is taking a picture with my phone and then messaging it to myself and then copying this and cropping each of the panels and then putting it into DaVinci. Oops. Oh, okay. Escape from crab. I cannot spell while I'm talking. Told you I can't spell talking. It's been a long day. Okay, we got a bunch of snow here. Not that that's pertinent to anything. All right, episode 12. There we go. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so he brushes aside 2 palm leaves as he walks along a jungle path. Quite humid in this jungle. And then it says he brushes his hand across his forehead. So either the dialogue will be as he's walking or as he brushes his hand across his forehead. So probably what I'll do is I'll probably do that. I'll probably do the close-up and have the dialogue over the close-up. And he's basically, he's got, trying to figure out how to draw this here. Draw a little arrow, because I do love my arrows. Okay, and there's his hat. Okay, and he's got his hair. And he's got his collars. Okay, so he pulls his hand across his face. Get the sweat off there, and he says, quite humid in this jungle. All right, now, that was that there. I forgot to. There he is, brushing his hand across his face. Something to that effect. Okay. Now, he says his path forward is blocked by a large pool of wet sand. Now, if you're like me and you watched Johnny Quest and Gilligan's Island, there was just quicksand everywhere. That was something that, you know, when you were a kid, you're like, oh my Lord, when I get older, I'm going to have to make sure I never step in quicksand. That was just something that us children of the 70s, or just maybe 60s and 70s, we just always had to make sure that we didn't run into quicksand. Okay, so his path forward is blocked by a large pool of wet sand. So we will kind of draw the pool of quicksand, which I don't even know if quicksand is a real thing. It probably is. There isn't much quicksand here in Colorado. Okay, and he's kind of maybe really kind of coming this way. And see, I put him right here. He's got these little pant thingies. He's wearing his coat in this jungle. Okay. And I might crop the, I always like when they draw the character outside of the little board, little square. Okay. He's looking down a little bit. And all right, his path forward is blocked by a large pool of wet sand. Okay. Sand. All right, now, where did his name come from? So, I was a big fan of adventure movies from the 60s and 70s. Because those are the movies that I grew up just really enjoying. World War II movies, adventure movies. These were on broadcast television in the 70s. And then, we could go to the store and rent them when video became a thing in the late... I think we probably got our first VCR in like 81 or 82. And so I was big into adventure movies and World War II movies. So couple of my favorite actors in those adventure movies are Steve McQueen and what's the other guy's name? Lee Marvin. So Lee Marvin and Steve McQueen got put together and they became Lee McQueen. Thank you, Technical Director Jenny. That's where Lieutenant Lee McQueen's name comes from. Okay. All right, where are we at here? What happened? Why did I lose signal? Oh, it's because I chose 7. All right, well, here we go. Don't choose channel 7 because there's nothing on channel 7. Okay, so let's see here. There we go. Always helps not to hit the wrong button. Okay, back to focusing here. There we go. And our next line is a monkey screeches from a tree branch on the far side of the pool. It waves a rusty cutlass, broken at the end, above its head. Above its head, it waves a rusty cutlass, broken at the end. Above its head, it waves a cutlass, broken at the end. All right, so now I gotta draw Mr. Monkey. Okay. Mr. Monkey is in a branch. I don't know how to draw monkeys in branches. Okay. In the shot, he's gonna have to be kind of high. He's gonna have his little monkey legs and his little monkey tail. And then he's gonna have above his hand kind of half of a cutlass. It's broken. Something to that effect. I don't know how to draw a monkey. Probably has monkey ears. He looks like a koala. Alright, never had to draw a monkey, but kinda maybe looks like a monkey. I don't know. I'll just write monkey. Monkey. Alright. A monkey screeches from a tree branch on the far side of the pool. Above its head, it waves a rusty cutlass. All right, so there go. Draw an arrow. He's just got a little broken cutlass. There we go. All right. And he says screech. There it goes. And he's got some palm branches. Where did his name come from? Well, we talked about Lieutenant McQueen. I don't know what this monkey's name is. Maybe his name is Minky. Okay, and then there'll be just like, I don't know what other palm branches stuff here. There's going to be, there's all these aloe bushes. All right, that's monkey in a tree. Okay, now he says, well, hello, Mr. Monkey. Why might you be raising such a fuss this fine day? Okay, so we'll do that as a close-up. Okay, here's his hat. It's tricorn. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit higher in the frame. He says, well, hello. Ellipses. All right, I'm actually not going to have the top of the hat in there. They're going to be like that. Okay. Something to that effect. Here's his nose, his eyebrows, his pupils. He's got some ears. He's got that. He's got some collars, excuse me. Okay, he says, well, hello to that monkey. Now, okay, so now we have to go back to the quicksand. McQueen bends over to touch the wet sand. All right, so kind of, we'll use this same framing, or this same medium shot here. But I gotta figure out how would you... I don't draw him in bending over much. Okay. That sounds funny. Okay. Alright. Now his coat here. Do something with this other arm. Okay. Coat kind of bending over, hat kind of like this. Okay. There's that. That kind of looks bendy over. Sand. Okay, put some trees in the background here. All right, so will there be an episode where he does not get unalived? Well, there's a number of I mean, we're on episode 12. Of course, there's a number of episodes where he did not get killed. I mean, he gets killed a lot, but there's a number of episodes where he doesn't get killed. Okay. All right, so he bends over to touch the wet sand. Okay. Okay. Then he says, biscuits, quicksand. How to cross it. How to cross this mire. Okay. All right, so we added how to cross this mire. Okay, so I'll do a close-up there. He says biscuits. Ellipses. Okay, he says now. Okay. Give me one of those. Okay, having fun with the emojis. Okay, so now he says, Biscuits, quicksand, how to cross this mire. He scans his surroundings and spies a loose vine. I'm going to make this into 2 bits here. I try to keep these on 1 page. It's arbitrary. I just like when things, as an engineer, OCD engineer, I just try to keep things nice and organized, and each of these episodes on 1 page I think works well. So I'm going to break that up into 2 shots. So Miss McQueen scans his surroundings. A loose vine dangles from a nearby tree. A lot of now when I'm writing screenplays for different, stop motion shorts, etc., there'll be certain, how do I say this? There'll be certain tacks I take, TACTS, certain strategies. This one, kind of channeling my experience with Zork and text-based role-playing games, and I'm actually trying to write it similar to that. I just think for this game, it kind of goes hand in hand. So, like, if you ever played, I don't know how many of you played Zork. There's 4 of us here. But it's a text-based adventure game, and so I'm kind of writing the script like it's a text-based adventure game. Okay. McQueen scans his surroundings. A loose vine dangles from a nearby tree. Well, this might do the trick. So I'm probably going to do that same bit where he talks over the object. All right, so that means to scan his surroundings. I don't need to show him standing up again. I think I'll go back to this. Kind of this same medium shot, cowboy shot maybe. Okay. Okay, and then his head will go back and forth. Okay. Looks like he has a beard. Looks a little Amish there. Okay. Okay. This is some sketchy drawing. Okay. Okay, so this end. Okay, so we're done with that one. Get another paper. Where's my folders? Okay. Now, thank you for Superstar Worksheets, basic storyboard, horizontal 8 scenes. One thing I had to learn, I watched all these YouTube 2 years ago, and even a couple years, even within the last year, watch all these composition, film composition, but, everything is like talks about, okay, it's 16 by 9, okay, it's this third, and it's this eye line, etc. I just have not seen anything about 9 by 16 composition, portrait style composition. I mean, the same things apply, but okay. Scans his surroundings. A loose vine dangles from a nearby tree. Okay. Oops. Save. All right. Back to that. Now, a loose vine. Okay. Dangles from a tree. Okay, so here is a tree branch. It has a loose vine. It's very much Pitfall. If you ever watched that when you were a kid or played that video game when you were a kid. Okay. And then I was going to have the dialogue go over this. Well, this might do the trick. Okay, and there's some trees and whatnot. Okay, so then he grabs the vine and backs up. So I'll use that same, this thing, I'll just show a vine in his hand and just kind of maybe a little bit shorter, a little bit backed up version of him. I gotta show him kind of holding on to this vine. Draw a lot of guys holding vines, so okay, show this there. There's that. Okay, so he's holding the vine. Okay, and this is episode 12B. All right. Now, he says, he grabs the vine and backs up. Roll a d6 and let's see if I can swing across this pit. We'll do that as a close-up, and gotta kind of show him holding that. Okay, so he says roll a d6. And let's see if I can swing across this pit. Okay, so then there's two cards. There's the 1 to 4 and the 5 to 6. So I kind of made it like a little bit more difficult to go across. If you roll 1 to 4, go to episode 14. Card. If you roll 5 to 6, go to episode 15. All right, now we're going to color these bad boys in. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, so we will color these in, and we'll call it a night. It's been a long day. Okay, grab the color and pen stilos here. And we start with blue. Okay. And I always say that's blue, but it's purple. Where's the blue? Oh, here's the blue. Okay. Okay. There's a monkey. He's kind of kneeling down. There he is right there. All right. And the quicksand will make yellow. And his eyebrows are yellow because he's blonde like Steve McQueen. Okay. Put a little bit of blue here. And then his tri-corner hat is black. Okay, that monkey will be brown because monkeys are brown. Okay. Make his shoes black, yellow sand. There's that. Okay, so we got plenty of green here. Okay, so we got all kinds of green foliage right there. Here's some green foliage. There's a minky. I guess there'll be some brown in there too. Okay, where's brown? There was brown for something. Oh, just he's got his little branch he's on, his little monkey tail. He's got his little monkey. I'll make the sword just like a light blue, maybe with some brown because it's rusty. Okay. And for some reason, I always like to make the arrows blue. Art is arbitrary. Okay. I think that's, oh, I got one more here. He's looking around. Okay, there's that panel. Here's another shade of green we can throw in there. I think it's another shade. Okay, there's that. Okay, that makes it a little bit more interesting. Now, we'll put this one right here. So we'll scan that one tomorrow. I guess the vine will be brown. Maybe I'll put some green on it. Okay, there's that. Yeah, there's all kinds of jungle around him. And there's quicksand, which is yellow. And his outfit is brown. No, his outfit is blue. Where's blue? There's blue. And he's blue here. There's that. Make that path brown a little bit. This brown a little bit there. Okay. There's that. And then I guess we'll make his hat black. He's got yellow eyebrows. And I think maybe just a little bit more green in here. Okay. I think we're done for the night. It's already 9:20 here. Okay, so there's, well, we'll recap this here real quick. Okay, so make sure we caught everything. Okay, McQueen brushes aside. We're gonna do this a little bit better for you guys. All right. McQueen brushes aside 2 palm trees as he walks along a jungle path. Quite humid in this jungle. He brushes his hand across his forehead. His path is blocked by a large pool of wet sand. A monkey screeches from a tree branch on the far side of the pool. Above its head, it waves a rusty cutlass broken at the end. Because if he successfully gets across the quicksand, he's going to end up with this broken cutlass because he needs a weapon to fight the zombies. Well, hello, Mr. Monkey. Why might you be raising such a fuss this fine day? McQueen bends over to touch the wet sand. Biscuits, quicksand. How to cross this mire? All right, he scans his surroundings. Okay. A loose vine dangles from a nearby tree. Well, this might do the trick. McQueen grabs the vine and backs up, and then he instructs the viewer, roll a d6, and let's see if I can swing across this pit. All right, let's make it a quicksand pit. This quicksand pit. All right, if you roll 1 to 4, go to episode 14. If you roll 1 to 50, there it goes right there. All right, well, thank you, everybody. It's been quite a long day between finishing up the Sir Ratone print and painting Sir Ratone and spending 2 hours reshuffling my studio sets around so I could get the castle in a good place to shoot. And then I shot the castle and I spray painted a backdrop. What happened here? Oh, let's go to camera 3. There we go. Even though it's a little bit blurry. Is the autofocus not on? Hello, autofocus. Oh, there it goes. I'm in and out of focus. There we go. Could use a little soft focus. So we painted a backdrop today. So it's been a long day. All right. Well, thank you very much. What is on tap for tomorrow? I think I'm buying some wood to make some storage underneath the sets. May end up shooting Drek tomorrow. If I end up shooting Drek tomorrow, I will live stream that. Drek is one of the dungeon diving puppets, so might end up doing that. All right. Have a good night. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Hey, Scully. Yar, Stinkosaurus.
Oh, Rick.
Hardy, ar, ar, ar.